So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today I'm joined by Darragh from the band Horrenda. They're a black metal band from Dublin, Ireland, and we're here to talk all about their band, music, and everything. So, Darragh, how are you today?
I'm good, sir. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome, awesome. So, this is you are the first Irish black metal band that I listen to.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a few of us. There's a few of us, but not many compared to other parts of the world, but that's cool.
yeah. So I know you started the band a few years ago. I believe sometime like in the 2015s or 2016.
Yeah, so the band started as like a solo project at the time, and we released a couple, well, I released a couple of demos, and then eventually I was like, look, I kind of want to take this live. So the album that kind of came from that was Neronian Times, and then I started filling out the band. So from like 2016, that's when we started like playing shows. But it wasn't until like 2017 that we got like a lineup that stuck. We went through like 11 members at one point, so it was difficult trying to get people to play this kind of music and also do the amount of shows that we like to do. But yeah, since 2017, that's kind of the lineup that we've had, and we've obviously got two guitarists in there since. But initially it was just me.
Yeah. So when you had 11 members, uh, what did I'm like? That's a lot of members. What did everyone do?
Yeah, well, it wasn't like they're all at the same time. It was people would
Okay.
cycle out, right? So it wasn't like a Slipknot thing where you have like nine people on stage or something. It was more just kind of like I've been playing in the Irish metal scene for many years, and when I initially launched the project, I was like, okay, how do you get this live? And it was pretty much just roping in friends, being like, okay, do you want to play drums? Do you want to play guitar? So that's how we cycled through a lot of members. And then throughout the recording, we got people in that could do like a stint here and there. But like for 3 years, it was just me and the current singer, Aaron, really holding the mast of this band. And it wasn't until 2 or 3 years in when we finally got a lineup that stuck. And luckily, no one's left since then, other than our drummer last year. We had to replace him, but that was on decent terms. Um, but yeah, it's been going from strength to strength. But really, like going through 11 members is a weird experience. So it's nice to not have to teach new people the songs every week, which is kind of what was happening for a while.
I bet that new hire orientation sucked.
Yeah, I literally had a bunch of videos and I still actually have them of like showing people how to play the songs. It was that regular. So but look, persistence is important, right? You just keep going and that was kind of our ethos. So from like the foundation of it, it's like, yeah, it might not be great, it might not be easy, but nothing worth doing is.
Yeah, no, persistence is key. So
Hmm.
your last album, The Old Task, you released
Hmm.
it in 2020,
Yes,
but
sir.
did you release it only digitally at that time, or were there physical copies just not in the States?
So yeah, that's a really good question. So during the pandemic, like we had recorded the Altus in 2019 and we had a record label set up, we had like a tour, we had a bunch of shows done, and literally St. Patrick's Day, the day after it, Ireland went into lockdown. Went into lockdown for 2.5 years. It was a really, really severe lockdown and kind of killed a lot of things here. And we were like, look, we're sitting on this, let's just release it. So we released it ourselves. And yeah, it did okay. I mean, there is a physical release, but that's kind of they're not as widespread as they are now because obviously it's been a couple of years. But the opportunity came up with to swap label, and while we're working on new material, the offer came in to be like, right, do you want to re-release this stuff in the US? Absolutely, so it's exciting to kind of revisit this material because we still play it live, we still really like it, but I actually did a remix of it last year. So what's being released now is my remix of the Altus. It's not the standard. It's my remix of the album, and that's exciting. Also, one of the big tracks, Slua, has been completely remixed, re-recorded. Parts of it have been re-recorded, and that's also going to be released as a video. So we didn't just want to put it out again. We kind of took it as an opportunity to revisit it and present it in a whole new way to the US audience.
So, what changes did you do mainly when you did the remixes to the songs?
So look, when you're making black metal, that's a really good question, right? When you're making black metal, there is like a bunch of school of thought, right? Where you're like, okay, does this need to be clean? Does this need to be, you know, kind of cult? And we've kind of done it all. Like the first two Horrenda releases were very, very cult. Depressive black metal, it was very, very raw. Neuronian Times was still raw, but like less so. When it came to the Altus, we had recorded another EP beforehand, and we went into a studio up in Belfast. And the guy who made it, Josh, he's a good friend of mine, really, really good, JSR Studios. He's more used to doing metalcore, right? So I got him in because his work on Nerve Gas was fantastic. But it was a bit too clean for our liking as a full album. And there are songs on the Altus, the more death metal ones that sound perfect in that mix. But then there's other ones that sound too clean. So every time I'd listen back to it, I'm like, kind of wish it was a bit more raw, right? So the majority of the remix is kind of just like a remaster where I'd add in bits and pieces here and there, but I'd mainly just do a remaster to make it sound like it's on a tape. It's a tape release. It's very similar to what you get if you were buying a cassette. The major, the big difference there is with Slua. Slua completely, like complete rebuild. It has new tracks added in, has like 8 guitars, new keyboards, vocals have been redone, to remixed in that sense, and we've also added in CJ, who's like our new guitarist. We added him in as well, so that is the most complete reimagining of that song. But as far as the full album goes, it's pretty much just a remaster from myself to make it sound a bit more raw.
Yeah, so I'm guessing it's good to listen at the like work on those songs like 5 years after, and maybe you're like, yeah, you like things that you wanted to change.
Hmm.
So in
Yeah,
20, obviously you just said, like screw it, we have it, let's release it, like see what
that
happens.
was it. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. We were like, look, we're nothing's happening. Let's release this. And look, it did pretty well. People really liked it, but there's only so much it can really do. As I said, the Irish metal scene, the Irish music scene, Ireland, full stop, shut down for like 2 years. So, having this opportunity to get it out there, and I'm really proud of this album. I think it's really, really good. Because it is like a lot of songs we would have toured, we would have played live for 4 or 5 years beforehand. So it's a good kind of like snapshot of the band. We still play a lot of songs live. So it's exciting to really have that reach the audience that unfortunately we didn't get a chance to release it to, because of the pandemic.
And it's a good way maybe for people who haven't heard you to
Hmm.
listen to you. And you just said a few minutes ago that you're currently working on your music. I would assume because
Yeah,
it's 5 years. So
yeah.
uh, what can you tell us about what you're working on now?
So we're also releasing our Think on Our Sins EP later on, through the same label in the US. So we're dropping both albums. So that will kind of give you a progression of where that was released last year. But again, same deal. We're getting an opportunity to kind of push that out there and get it out in the US, which is great. But when you listen to that one, you can kind of see the progression where we're going. And we've been in the studio there like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and
Mhm.
we recorded two songs. So, you can hear that progression, like the "Think on Your Sins" song specifically. That's kind of where we're going, where we still have the super aggressive music, but then we also have kind of like the post rock, black gaze stuff, where it's like we're really playing with that melodic side of metal, which is super fun. And it's actually nice because like some of the songs on the Altus are quite simple, again, because I had to teach 11 people how to play them. So we've more focused on simple songs with complex stuff happening. And now we're kind of going the other way where we're writing complex songs with simple bits on top of it.
Yeah, and black gaze right now is very popular.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Harry Carey for the Sky, a big fan of Carg. But even from the start, like I grew up listening to Life Lover. So I mean, it's just very, very natural for me to kind of play that kind of music. And it's just like I think when you're making this kind of music and you're playing it live, it's very different to when you're playing it in a studio. So when you're playing stuff in a studio, you have a bit more time, and you can kind of play whatever you want, really. It's more for you. But when you become a touring band or you're playing in front of live live people, it's a whole different element because you're like, okay, what works, what doesn't work, and we kind of let the audience decide what works and what doesn't work, and that's a really cool tool for us. Um, so yeah, our mix. I like kind of jumping between the two where for ourselves it's we'll play a bunch of the fast songs and then we'll kind of slow it down. I describe our live shows as like drowning someone where like it's you're properly drowning them and then you bring them up for air and then you're drowning them again, and that's kind of the mentality we go with when we're on stage.
Okay, I'll keep in mind if I go to a show. I'm like, Dad, don't drown me, man.
Don't worry. At least you have warning, right?
Yeah, you put a warning. We're going to drown you with some black metal.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So yeah, and you mentioned Harakiri for the Sky. Yeah, that's a sound that's really popular right now.
hmm
So I know you said you have a singer, but since you started, do you write most of the lyrics? I would.
I used to. I used to. I mean, like a lot of the Altus was like 60-40, to 50-50 depending. The earlier stuff obviously was all me. But with Aaron, he has his own process and he will write, and Aaron's like really, really good at that. So, we kind of gave the lead over to him, so he will do the majority of the lyrical content now. But with the new material, we're kind of we're breaking it, making it like a band thing, where if we have an idea, we'll take it to Aaron and he'll kind of go from there. Or, I would in the past just go through his lyrics and go like, right, this works, try this, and we would iterate like that. But now it's more of a full band thing where, you know, for example, on the new song, Mark brought in all the lyrics. I went through them, redid them, and then Aaron put his own spin on it. So that's kind of where we're going now. Where we've been together long enough that we're comfortable sharing lyrics and kind of renewing that process. And look, it makes it much more interesting because we all have different things. Like if you listen to the old Horrenda stuff, you can know the stuff you'll know the stuff I wrote, and you'll know the stuff Aaron wrote. And now, what's cool about Horrenda now? It's a band. It's not just, oh, he's writing this, he's writing that. It's like it's more like we're all writing together.
Yeah, it's a collaborative effort. Plus,
Yeah.
it for more dynamics in music because everyone probably has their different tastes and they bring like a different flavor to the sound of the band.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like Aaron's much more of his hardcore kind of stuff, so he'll go in and if you see us live, our shows are wild. He'll get in the crowd, he'll fight you, he'll climb stuff, and that's all super hardcore rooted. So a lot of his influence as well will come from that. So he's brought that very much into not only the stage, but one of the issues we've actually had, and it's one of the reasons that with make recording quite difficult is try how do we capture us live in the studio, and we've actually kind of figured it out now. It only took us about 10 years, but we figured out how to do it, and the new material you'll really hear that. But I think on Your Sins as a release is a good kind of stepping stone to what you can expect for the new Horrenda material, very much so.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone. So I saw pictures, obviously, of you guys with all the corpse paint.
hmm
So I like how important is you besides the music, like because with black metal, I know there's some divisiveness. Sometimes in the past, the corpse paint like was part of the sound, but now we
hmm
have other bands that do like black gaze or like death metal, like for example, Death Heaven, who
hmm
work and have short like haircuts and like look like totally different part.
I mean, look, black metal, it's interesting because there are a couple of schools to thought on this. From my personal perspective, black metal is a huge spectrum, right? You can do pretty much whatever you want, which is probably blasphemy to some people, but it is huge. You can do your Demo gear, you can do your mayhem, you can kind of go anywhere you want and then go towards Death Haven and Harry Carey and stuff. The course paint thing, it's more just like if it's a full if it's a full lineup of black metal bands, which has happened to us before. The sync gets very, very messy. Let's put it that way. There's so much paint everywhere. But because as you said, there isn't a lot of black metal bands in Ireland. There's a few, so there is only a few of us, and particularly when we're going into UK as well, it's more like we look at that like if you're a wrestling fan, if you're a WWE fan, when the Undertaker was there, the Undertaker would come out and he'd have a big moment, and you can use a lot of those theatrics, and that's kind of where we go. We it helps us kind of get into the show. We wear the paint, it becomes part of the show, and then we after we're done, like it's not a core element of our music, but it does help us kind of reach that extra level where we're like, right, it's showtime now. It's that it's that moment for us. For the crowd as well, the crowd love it. I mean, if we didn't wear the paint, we'd look like a bunch of dorks. So, you know, it just helps us, to reach that extra level. And again, it's funny because a couple of years ago, we were doing a festival called Siege of Limerick. We did it again. We headlined it there a couple of days ago. But I'm so used to seeing Aaron in the paint that he walked by me, and I actually was like, "Oh, that's actually pretty scary." But I'm so desensitized to it that it's more weird to not wear paint on stage than it is to wear it now at this point. Because even when I'd fill in with other bands or play with other bands, it doesn't feel right. You're like, oh, I'm kind of missing something. And you're like, oh yeah, the paint. So it's not a key element of our music, but it is something that we actually really like to do in a live setting. And it adds to it. I mean, it's all part of the show, right? And that's a big, big thing for us to make it a really cool show.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that maybe if there's a band that you never seen them without paint, you won't recognize them.
That happens a lot. It happens a lot. I was selling merch to someone the other day and they're like, oh, who are like, where's the band? And I'm like, and I'm literally pulling the paint off me. It's funny, but it gives you that cool moment where you have that bit of anonymity, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So, but yeah, it's not like Norway, where Norway's like full of
Hmm.
black metal bands like everywhere. I went there and I saw a couple of bands. But yeah, the aesthetic. I like. I I listen to the album and I like some type of black metal, but I like when the production. I don't want the super shitty production. I want a
Yeah.
production that is like in the middle. In
Yeah,
the
and that's what we aim for. It's like, but that can draw some ire too, where it's not cult. But we try to make it accessible. Like one of the really cool things that said to us a lot is that I don't like black metal, but I really like what you guys do.
Yeah.
And that's really cool for me because I'm like, okay, that means, obviously they'll probably go into heavier music, but like we've hit that midpoint, which is what I'm looking to do. Because like for me as a musician, the more people who listen to my music, um, that's what I want, right? I don't. It doesn't need to be super cult, super like. It's like, yeah, that's great, but that's been done. I mean, if I did that on 2 albums. If you want to listen to Cult Horrenda, you can. But if you want to listen to current Horrenda, you can too. You know?
No, yeah, that's cool. I actually, when I visited Norway, I went to that famous like record store where they have the black
Yeah.
metal. I took a picture uh, there. I hope they don't know that I love Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and some stuff, nothing to do with black metal as well. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And so the Altas, I listened to the album, and it's good that it's getting re-released and more people will listen
Hmm.
to it. I know you put also a lot of like Irish culture into the themes on this record.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's super important. Like it's what black metal allows you to do. It does kind of have a lot of roots in the folklore of the country. I mean, like the whole reason that the Norwegians were so anti-Christian was because it wasn't because they were Satanists. It's because what the church did to the Nordic religion, right? So that's a misconception that happens. For us, Horrenda doesn't do that. We're not satanic. We're not into that kind of stuff. But we are Irish. We're proud to be Irish, right? So there's a really, really deep folklore there. And one of the big issues that we've always tried to tackle is Irish identity and what that means, particularly with modern Ireland. So there's everything here from us being failed as a society to teams about the Celtic demon Balor, and then Slough, which is probably one of my favorite songs. Like we love to play it, the crowds love it. It's and that's a deeply personal song, but it is kind of wrapped around the myth of not only the Banshee but also the Sluagh as well, the restless dead from Irish mythology. So like we've always been political in that sense, but it is very much focused in looking at modern Ireland and how that's just been a complete train wreck um, consistently. But then again, we always try to call back to who we are as a people, and we have a very, very deep, rich culture that we always like to, spread around because it's pretty cool. It's pretty badass. Irish mythology is awesome.
Yeah, which one was the Banshee?
So the Banshee is she would foretell the death of a family member. So if you have like if you have like an O, like I'm Darragh O'Connor, obviously. So we'd have a Banshee, and then there'd be like so the O'Connors and the Macs and stuff. They'd have their own Banshees related to them, and you'd hear a wail before someone died, and that's the story. So it's yeah, it's pretty scary. There are some things that happen sometimes where you hear a tale and you're like, "Whoa, that's pretty scary," you know. But that didn't stop in just the Altus. And on Think on Your Sins, we did a video for Come and See, and that video was inspired by our bass player. He was in a pub in a place called Navan, and this old man came up and he was telling him a story from the famine because obviously the Irish famine happened and 1 million people were killed, 1 million people emigrated in the late 19th century. And basically, what happened was two brothers were fighting over a piece of bread, and he killed the brother, and then the other one walked into a bog. And if you've seen the video for Come and See, it's literally that. That's where that video came from. So we are very aware when we're discussing when we're looking for legal content, we're like, right, or even visual content, we pull from Irish mythology without being a band that's solely based on Irishness, but it does kind of come through everything from an Irish lens. Like there's bands like Amon Amarth and stuff like that where they're just known for that. We're not like that because we don't want to put ourselves in a box. But when we do come from stuff and when we do open it up, we have this really cool toolkit to use, which we do.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And I spoke to a band from Ireland last year, uh, but it wasn't like a black metal band. It was other style. But yeah,
Hmm.
some folklore in there. Like there's some waters in Ireland where there's like this like constant whirl, like water that's always moving. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Like
Yeah, but like that's what I mean. Like the Irish land is magical. There is like, and that's not to sound cheesy, but it really is. There's some amazing things in Ireland to see. But what's interesting is now the way things are, it's kind of dystopian. So if you want to be in a black metal band and focus on negativity, look out, go into the city, have a look around, and you're just going to be able to feed off that. But then you also have all this cool mythology where you can use as metaphors, or you can make cool art and stuff. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get a mirror to reflect back on Irish society. That's our goal.
I haven't been to Ireland, but I need to go. Yeah.
Well, if you do, come and check us out.
Yeah. Well, I'm in a tropical island. So when my idea of vacations, because a lot of people vacation like, I'll go to a tropical island. I live in a fucking tropical island.
I
Like,
hear that. Well,
like
it rains 85% of the time here, so
oh,
you'd be fine. Yeah.
yeah. It rains here in Puerto Rico a lot too. Uh,
Hmm.
but but yeah, like my idea of vacation. Don't get me wrong. I like going to tropical places, but when I want to go to somewhere. Like I'm not gonna go to somewhere just to be on a beach. I'm like
Hmm.
I can do that at home.
Yeah,
Uh,
I hear that. I hear
but
that.
but it's cool that you get to put your Irish roots in black metal and give it like more of like your own identity.
Yeah, like black belt's supposed to be authentic, and I think that kind of gets confused by some people. Some people are like, it needs to be this and that. It doesn't need to be anything. It just needs to be authentic. And that's what we try to do. And it's not in the production doesn't need to be super raw, whatever. Once you are truly being who you are in art, I think people pick up on that, and that's always what we've been trying to do, trying to get that most authentic approach nailed down on you know, whatever comes from that comes from that. It just happens to be that we have, you know, we're all from Ireland. It's our culture. What else are we going? How else are we going to view the world? You know?
Yeah. So I want to show the artwork for people who haven't seen the artwork. I know it's been out a while, but it's cool to talk about it so people can get an idea.
Hmm.
Uh, I also have a pictures of you guys with the full makeup on. So yeah, here's the artwork for the album. So tell us a little bit. I'm assuming that's the Banshee, right?
No, so I actually redid this art. So this art, so the original art from a couple of years ago was done by a very, very good artist. Like Neil's fantastic. But I actually didn't have the original art anymore because it was gone. So I actually redid this based on what we had. So I took Neil's original sketch and kind of redid it. So no, that's not the Banshee. That's a Celtic goddess called the Morrigan.
Oh,
So the Morrigan, so the Morrigan is she's like a patron of the warriors, and basically there's loads of different stories with the Morrigan, and that's who she is. So if you watch her video for Axe Wound, we kind of took that approach where it's a ritual to the Morrigan, and she's kind of stalking through the forest, and Aaron ends up getting taken by the Morrigan and buried alive. It's pretty cool, so that's where that comes from.
well, it's cool if you're not being buried alive.
Yeah, it's funny, like, because well, it's funny now, but Aaron's actually afraid of being buried alive. So for that video, we kind of had the exposure therapy. But yeah, so it's a pretty cool video. If you haven't checked it out, I'd recommend it
Yeah, I need to check that out. I listened to the album, but I didn't have time to check out the video.
for
Uh,
sure.
but yeah, I think every culture is afraid of being well. I think because back in the day, some people were buried alive because they were.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the whole Saved by the Bell thing, right, where you had a bell and
Yeah.
you had to ring it. Yeah.
Right. I don't think that in 2025 you would that mistake would be made, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, but I think that that would be a horrible thing to experience to be buried alive.
I mean, I don't want to find out, right? So
No. No one wants to find out. So yeah. So you really actually that I got that picture from the promo
yeah,
from yeah. Okay, I'm like I got the picture. So yeah.
that's the right one. That's how you can tell that it's the new one because it has a read-on cover.
Okay, cool. I'm like, I picked the real one. So for if people want to have like an idea of what you guys look uh, like when you're full on like painted, here's the pictures of you guys ready to hit the stage. Are you the one with the hood?
Yeah, I'm the one on the far left.
Okay, on the far left. Yeah, yeah. So you're six people, right? Yeah, six
Yeah, we're
people.
six people. Yeah, so we started with, like, for a long time we were just four people, and then we got Mark in as a second guitar player, and then, like, randomly, after the pandemic, I was like, kind of, like, basically the pandemic changed things a lot, where gigs were being cancelled, stuff like that. So I'm like, right, let's make sure we never actually have to cancel a gig. So I've worked with CJ before. We've kind of been adjacent to each other for like 10 years. And I was like, hey man, do you just want to join Horrenda? And he goes, but don't you already have a guitar? Yeah, I'm like, so what? Doesn't matter. So it's kind of like redundancy. So if one of us gets sick or whatever, we can just swap instruments and still play. So we can all play bass, we can all play guitar. Four of us can do vocals if needed. And that's kind of like the goal. That's why, if something happens, and we actually did, we had a tour in the
Mm.
UK last year, and I got a shoulder injury, and I had to actually leave the tour, and the lads were still able to go play. So, I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
yeah, like, that's the reason why it was done. But by working it into our sound, we've actually hit where we can hit three different musical ranges. So it's just this wall of sound, and we can also do some pretty cool stuff with it. So I think it was a great idea. And then I went to go see Carg last week in Bruges, and they have three guitars. I'm like, well, okay, I was spot on. It works.
Did you see Karakangren?
I saw Carg. Um, yeah.
Awesome, but yeah, I think that's a great idea to have someone like because if something happens, you're always covered. That's a very interesting idea. So you don't have to cancel.
No, well, see, here's the thing, man. I mean, like, look, if people are going to pay money to come see us, people are going to want to see us. We don't want to disappoint them. I mean, that's a bummer. So it's like, look, the show's going to go on no matter what, and this way it does. You know, if something happened, like obviously you when you see Horrenda, you want to see the full, all of us there, but stuff happens, and what it basically happened because of COVID. I'm like, so many shows are being cancelled because one member has COVID. How can I stop that from happening? And now we have like a redundancy if needed.
Yeah, I like that the name of the band almost sounds like Spanish.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, funny story. That's why on Facebook it's the band Horrenda because anytime someone would who speaks Spanish would whatever way it worked, it would just tag us. So I'd wake up to like 500 notifications, and I was like, I need to find a way around this. So yeah, we actually had to change it. Like the name initially comes from there was a like I'm a Roman historian by trade, so I have my degree in masters in Roman history. And yeah, there was a thing called a Sina Horrenda, which is like where the Pope was dug up, put on trial, and that was already taken. So I was like, okay, you know what? Most bands have two words in it, so let's just go with Horrenda. And it's always kind of been weird for me because it's like, oh, I should have picked a better name, but the lads like it, and I think it actually sums us up really well now. When you see Horrenda, you're like, oh my God, okay, I know what this is initially. You know what from the first sample into the first song, there's nothing else that sounds really like Horrenda when you see us live.
Yeah, and it's cool that you like your his like history. So that's
Mm.
good to write music when someone knows history. I think that gives it authenticity to what to put on through.
Well, that's where all the art comes from, you know, like, and a lot of the themes and stuff. There's lots of like not only Irish history, but there's lots of Roman history and the French Revolution and stuff like that. But pretty much whatever I'm kind of interested in, I'll work it in. For Think on Your Sins, we did a whole Dante's Inferno thing because Dante's Inferno is a cool read. But like Dore's art was so fascinating. I don't know if you've actually flicked through the hundred and so panels of it, but I was like, this is so metal, right? Let's do this. So as we were going through the EP, there was so much to pick from. And I made the joke. I'm like, I went through all this college to put it into my band, but hey, at least I'm using it, right?
It happens. It happens. So the re-release will be May the 30th. Where can pre-order?
Yeah, so the best way to do it is to obviously we'll be once the pre-orders go live, we'll be putting them up on our social media. So the best way to do it is to go over to horrendaofficial.com and you can find our link tree there. You can order it, it's all going to be there. But the pre-orders haven't gone up yet. So the best thing I'll say is follow us on social media, either Instagram or Facebook, and once they go up, you'll be able to order it there.
Awesome, awesome. And any upcoming shows?
Yeah, man, so many shows. So many shows. So like if you go to our website as well, you can see all the shows we have coming up. Our next show is a charity one in Ireland, but we have like one or two shows in Ireland, but we do have two UK tours coming up. One in July and one in September, including Cosmic Void Festival. So if you guys are going to that, you'll be able to catch us there, but we have some other stuff that we are working on right now. I don't want to say anything more than that because it's not confirmed, but our plan is to play as much as humanly possible. So if you guys want us in the US or whatever, reach out because that's what we want. That's the hope.
Awesome. So that I want to thank you, for taking some time to share with me from Ireland here to Puerto Rico. So
Appreciate
yeah,
it.
Couchers, Orenda, it's out digitally now, but it's going to come out with some remastered. So that the new version is coming out on May 30th. So I'll post so you can follow the band and get more information. So before I let you go, anything you like to say to the people before we go?
Again, guys, thank you so much for listening to me talk about the band. We really appreciate the support. Please do follow the band. Yeah, you can buy t-shirts, you can buy the whole stuff. Not only are the albums being really re-released, but we have two videos dropping and they're going to be pretty cool. So if you want to see some pretty cool Irish mythology stuff, that's also coming really soon in one of our new videos. So thank you so much though, Hector. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you. So, couchers, until next time, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.